Hi, my name is Michael Oetken. I'm an assistant professor here at Kansas State University Salina Aerospace and Technology campus, and welcome to the Technology Leaders Lounge. In this series, we're going to be exploring current and emerging technologies, and we're going to be speaking with some of the experts that are familiar with these technologies right here on the K-State Salina campus. Today's episode, we're going to talk about extended reality. So what is extended reality? Extended reality is an umbrella term that we use for any kind of technology that affects the physical or real world. Things like AR, which is augmented reality, VR, probably the most popular term people have heard, virtual reality, even mixed reality. And so today I'd like to introduce Dr. Michael Pritchard. He's our Associate Dean for Research and Graduate Studies here at K-State Salina. And we're going to talk about extended reality, have a conversation about these technologies and where they're going. So welcome to the Technology Leaders Lounge.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So what kind of current technologies are we using right now on the K-State Salina campus as far as anything extended reality related?
So we've got quite a few technologies we're using here on campus, not only just from an academic perspective, but from a research perspective. The three big ones that we're using, of course, we've got technologies around augmented reality using Microsoft's HoloLens. We also have a virtual reality presence here from a technology perspective in terms of Meta Oculus systems that we have here. The Oculus 2s, we also have mixed reality headsets in the Vario, the more high-end Vario headsets that we have. And so we've got a really broad range of technologies here.
I've worked with both of these and they're really cool. This is our Microsoft HoloLens, it's an AR device. And then over here we have our Vario XR3 headset, which is kind of a VR mixed reality device.
Fascinating how when we started this a few years ago, we just had the HTC Vive, right? We had the one headset. And it was actually being used just for a test case around flight simulation. We ended up going from there to moving into more and more of a lot of different use cases, not just from a classroom flight simulation perspective, but also it's expanded our use cases. We've been using this technology and getting a lot of press around using this technology on the research side. In animal health sciences, all the way to artificial intelligence, and even into space domain awareness applications. So those are kind of some of the things we're actually doing today. These aren't things that we're just kind of dreaming of, but these are actual research projects. We're actually in the process of actually having finalized some, but we actually have some that we're cooking up for the next academic year.
The space domain awareness, that's a pretty interesting topic. I know I teach some classes where we explore immersive technologies. To the kind of person out there that might not be familiar with this technology, can you explain what putting on a headset and then what would the operator or person using that technology do and see, and kind of what makes that technology useful for those different types of use cases?
I think it's good to kind of baseline what people's expectations of what virtual reality. The more common term virtual reality means. When you back up historically, virtual reality was primarily a visual thing. You put on a headset, it was primarily focused on your eyes and providing an optical input for simulated environment from that perspective. But it's advanced and progressed so much now that we have haptic feedback. That's a form of augmented reality because you're not physically getting touched. So we've actually been exploring this through gaming has been pushing the forefront. So for people to kind of get a better feel for it, like PlayStation 5s, Xboxes, when the controller actually rattles in your hands, right? That little haptic feedback. That's actually a sensory augmented reality. There's not something physically. It's not someone coming up and shaking your hand. It's coming through virtually, right? So you've got that as well as your eyes, but we're also, the use cases that we're able to explore now is in the auditory area as well, because now we have speaker systems that are integrated with these technologies. So we can use augmented sounds, right? Directional sound, spatial audio is a big thing in this area. So if I'm trying to visualize really complex orbits, I can actually do that more appropriately in virtual reality versus something that you see on a flat screen.
It's pretty interesting where this technology is going. One of the things I thought was really interesting about the Vario headset there is how it's uses cameras, so you can still have a sense of your physical world, but still augment, so bring in digital aspects and kind of blend all that together. You had mentioned VR, and so VR has been around quite a long time. I remember the first time when I think it was a PlayStation VR device I tried, and I was doing a like underwater exploration, and I have like this really bad fear of sharks. And so I was doing this game and I was underwater, and all of a sudden this shark came out and it like freaked me out. I like threw the headset off. So what kind of personal stories have you had with this technology?
My first experience was I found a library book, and it was all about how to, all about virtual reality and how to build out using the Nintendo Power Glove.
Okay.
And so with the Nintendo Power Glove, you can create a controller, and then you can get these old, really bad resolution, the portable TVs. They were little guys, they're 2x2 inch little things. Sometimes they were black and white back then, but they were just coming out with color. And so we built this thing and we put it all together and tried to get it to work, but that was my first foray into virtual reality, and that was back in the early 90s. And so the technology has only gotten better, right? And then kind of moving forward to today, where for me, I know there's two experiences that jump out. There's Alex, the Half-Life game, the follow-up to the Half-Life series. And so that came out with the index controllers, right? The finger trackers, right? The new ones. And so, and I remember playing it, and I've played games quite a bit, but I threw the headset on, loaded Alex up, and it was so immersive and unbelievably impactful to me, but it actually made me super sick. Because I got motion sick, and I've been in flight sims. I don't usually get sick, but the problem was in this particular, it was so immersive that, from the auditory stimulus to the visual stimulus to the fidelity of the visuals, I was like, I played it for a good 5 minutes and I had to take a break because I was starting to get motion sick right out of the gate. So that was something that happened 5 years ago. And what's crazy is the technology is going to progress more now.
So probably one of the most recent experiences, and this is one that you were with me, we were able to demo out a really cool immersive experience called Viva Las Vengeance. The company that put this together did an amazing job blending the VR, all of the physical components of like sound, movement, sensory, things like that. What'd you think of that? I thought it was just amazing.
You know what? That was a phenomenal experience. That was something that I'd say that if you ever get a chance, they have them in a couple cities, and they have a couple rotating events, is my understanding.
Right. Yeah.
But they have a permanent exhibit in Las Vegas. And so one of the things that was absolutely phenomenal about this, it had the full body tracking. They digital twinned the food truck. And what we mean by digital twinning is they actually scan the food truck. So you were in a physical food truck during the experience, but so when you were touching the food truck in VR, you were actually physically touching the real truck in real life. So it was an amazing blended experience that it's hard to describe. There's a lot of applications for the future. What you've got right off the bat is, of course, gaming, right? More collaborative gaming and more immersive gaming experiences for the future. But then there's also the training aspect of it. You can train now in areas that it used to be a little bit more of especially if you're trying to think of like for the military as an example. Training on an aircraft carrier is a very dangerous prospect. Well, you can actually now do training in a full virtual reality simulation where you can keep workers safe while training on a digital twin of the aircraft carrier as an example. There's those kind of examples. There's also tourism, right? If you think about it, where you can pull your phone out and you can overlay real-time like information related to your trip to Paris, right? And historical facts and figures and things like that. But you can also do what we call is remote tourism, which is something that's popping up where I can visit things that are harder to visit. Where, for example, like a lot of the more inner parts of like pyramids of Egypt, there's parts of it that they just won't let the general public go into, right? Well, imagine now, they've scanned the inside of these tombs. You can actually now be able to be part of that, whereas before you'd never be able to see it. So, there's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, and like I said, I imagine as the the resolution of these and the processing power, gets better. The form factors of these devices get smaller, even into, I've read stuff about contact lenses where eventually we'll have contact lenses that we can put in and, it'll augment digital information and artifacts and graphics right there. And so, it's pretty amazing where all this is going.
Yeah. I mean, it's just with all the technology that's been coming out and with the miniaturization in particular.
Yeah.
There's just it's just an area that is just ripe for future growth.
Well, thanks for joining us, Dr. Pritchard. It was great talking about the extended reality topic. Really interesting stuff.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, well, that's it for this episode of the Technology Leaders Lounge. We'll catch you next time.